So would you, do you think if we couldn't fix inequality, would it be sufficient for us to just fix poverty?
In my opinion, no. The amount of inequality that we've seen, the pace at which it's grown over the last, really since about 1978, 1980, is really extraordinary. And it upsets so many other, the inequality upsets so many other balances. Political balance is completely disrupted by the massive growth of the wealth of what the French economist Thomas Piketty labeled the 1%. So I don't think it's enough to confront poverty. But let's come back to basic income, which I think is a good first step in that direction. We could hold it up against some alternatives, and I guess I'm kind of excited about it as a piece of a larger, maybe a piece of a larger set of solutions that would help on poverty, that might help on certain parts of inequality, even if it wouldn't be quite the same as reining in the extraordinary growth at the high end of the income distribution. So again, for your viewers, I would say, well, we could think about this basic income guarantee. There are other approaches. So, for example, we could think about minimum wages or living wages. Those are intended, obviously, for people who are working. It's a wage for work, but it's raising that wage until it's at a level that generates an income that's adequate for the worker's family or household to survive on. These are not mutually exclusive. It doesn't have to be, well, are you for a basic income or are you for a living wage? It can absolutely be both as a piece of increasing the well-being of working families.
Okay, so I just kind of want to go to some extreme logical, the extreme logical conclusion of some of these thoughts. Let's say we did get a basic income that, depending on where you live, could guarantee enough money for everyone to have housing. What do you see that? What would that do to like the housing market? Will there be enough homes? And I'm just asking this because this is, I kind of know the answer, but I want to know what you think on the logical extreme of that.
No, it's a great question. So you might be worried, what happens if, will there be too much money chasing too few goods? I'm not worried about that. Our economy has been massively productive and pay hasn't gone up very much. There's a lot of room in this economy for working families to have more money, more income to chase goods with. It is possible to imagine a situation where people have so much money that we start to hit the limits of what the economy can produce. But our economy is producing about 2.5 times what it produced the year I was born, and workers are making about the same amount. So there's really no shortage of goods in the economy. There's really kind of a shortage of purchasing power for working households. Basic income would be a good way to boost that right off the bat. And I think if people had money for housing, for healthcare, for their necessities, it would be very, that would just be a very good thing. And markets are, at least under the current configuration, would be able to provide those if workers were showing up with more money in their pockets, more money in their wallets to make those purchases.
Yeah. No, and it almost seems like common sense. In the sense that, especially the middle class, we're consumers. We're going to spend that money that comes in. It just basically ensures that we don't have to live in poverty or that we don't have to be homeless. But essentially, it's still going to be spent. I mean, this would be a windfall for capitalists. But it seems as though capitalists may be. Why would capitalists not be in favor of this? That's the question.
So there are a couple of angles to this. So one is that capitalists like having workers who can't be that picky or choosy about the jobs that they take. And to be honest, what I say is one of the benefits of a basic income guarantee is that will allow working people to be a little bit pickier about the jobs they agree to do. So jobs where the hours are abusive, either because there are too many hours or too few hours, or not hours hours that you can't control that get adjusted, with half hour before the shift is going to begin. It's a lot of misuse of workers, abuse of workers in that domain. So employers, to be honest, kind of like having desperate employees in some in a bunch of ways. So so employers may be a little bit reluctant to not have not have workers who are looking starvation in the face, and a basic income would relieve workers of that burden, of that basic kind of terror or fear of not subsisting. So I think in the long run, that's going to lead to jobs that are much more creative, that make much better use of our kind of our full capacity as human beings. But in the short run, it would be a big shift in the balance of power, I believe, between employers and employees. Big shift towards employees who could be much pickier, even to have a buffer to, for example, strike on, right? That one of the reasons that the playing field is not level between workers and employers is because workers, have to pay rent and pay groceries. It's very frightening to say, I'm going to withhold my work. In the context of the strike, something like a basic income guarantee would give a little bit more slack in the life of a worker, a little bit more cushion to live on, and would allow them to act collectively and advocate for themselves. And again, not take really not be forced to take really terrible or abusive jobs. So that would shift the balance. I mean, I don't think the thing that I joked about. I wasn't joking. Milton Friedman did come out in favor of something like a basic income guarantee. I think this will only emerge from a political struggle at this point, that workers will have to push very hard for this. That's why I think it's important to think about the range of alternatives. Why I mentioned living wages as a complementary alternative. There's more than one way to manage. There's more than one approach that we could take towards addressing poverty and evening out some of the inequalities that have developed.